We are rolling.
This meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners is called to order. Will Commissioner, staff, and guests please rise for invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, thank you so very much for this beautiful morning, for this opportunity to meet together, to take care of the business of the county and to hear from local representatives in our areas. I also ask that you give us wisdom to make good decisions and that you would be with all of our servicemen that are at home and across the seas and guide and watch over them. Thank you again. Give us a good meeting. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the purposes of attendance, the clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Here.
Connor.
Here.
Geiger.
Here.
Getty.
Here.
Gibson.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Smoker.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Approval of written agenda. At this time, any member of the public wishing to remove an item from the consent agenda and place it under items for consideration may do so. Hearing no such request, does any commissioner wish to change the agenda as presented? Hearing no such request and without objection, the agenda is approved as written. Reports from state and county officers. Does any state or county officer or their representative have a report to share with the board? Yep.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
We got two people to swear in, one for Department of Corrections and one for our law enforcement. And
Let's wait a second. This is a big event. We want to capture it, so we'll let Rebecca get set up for a second. You can stand wherever you... All right.
well, anyways, John Vandenberg was originally from Ohio, right? I'm sorry. No, you're from Hudsonville.
Yes, sir.
He doesn't have the name tag.
Yeah, sorry about that. And then he went down to South Carolina, worked for state police down there.
Yes, sir.
And now he's back up here, and he's going to be working for us. And we got David Garvin. David was from Ohio. Daniel, I got it right here. And he was in Virginia for a while, working their corrections over there, and he's got family over here in Berry County, so we're going to hire him in for corrections. So, gentlemen.
That is stand up.
Pardon?
Let's have him stand on the other side of the microphone so we can hear him.
All right. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Corrections Deputy and Deputy for the City of Hastings, County of Berry, and the State of Michigan, for the rest of your vote?
I do.
Berry County is a great place to live. It's a great place to work. And you two gentlemen are, on behalf of the board and all the commissioners here that can chime in, we're very, very honored that you would choose Berry County to be a place to work. So, thank you. Any other commissioners want to offer a comment? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So, Daniel, we're working on the conditions of our jail. We know it's not the greatest facility to work in, but hopefully within the next few years you can be working in a newer facility.
That'd be great.
Yeah. We're good. Thank you. Any other reports to share with the board? Limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Brown, Supervisor, Hastings Township. Is this on?
I think so.
It's on.
I'll speak louder. This letter went to our Sheriff, Darley, who was here today. I'm glad. I'm going to read this. Sheriff Leith, enclosed is an invoice for payment for legal expenses incurred regarding your FOIA request on the 2020 election. This was to our township. We suggest you and your office concentrate on the law enforcement duties that our taxpayers elected you to do as per your mission statement. Potential legal actions are not something your department needs and would just reduce the resources your department requires to get your job done for Berry County. Mission statement, Berry County Sheriff's Office. The mission of the Berry County Sheriff's Office is to provide a full spectrum of professional corrections and law enforcement services to ensure our community continues to progress as a safe and secure place to live, work, and visit. We got the FOIA request, sent it to our lawyer. They said this should never have happened. In the meantime, we got an invoice from our attorney for $1,039. Actually $1,309. I would suggest that we stick to what we're elected to do. And this is just an example of what not to do.
Thank you.
Number two, I got 30 seconds. I would highly suggest that you vote positively for the situation with the city of Hastings and their property across the street. 15 years ago, I sat across the table on a cup of coffee with Michael Colton, and we agreed that the city, when I was on the DDA, that we would trade the old library for that vacant property. We did it, and it's coming full circle. The old library is using for some really good things, and with this new proposed project, it will be even better for across the street. Number two,
You're on to number 3,
it's
actually.
going to add some money to our tax rolls.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Good morning. Sarah Moyer-Kale, Hastings City Manager and Berry County resident. I'm sure that it comes as no surprise to you when I say that affordable, quality housing is one of the greatest issues of our time. My husband and I searched for months before finding a home in Berry County, and I'd consider us to be one of the lucky ones. I have heard from many residents who want to downsize or move because their existing home no longer meets their needs, but are unable to do so because the housing they need does not exist locally. They don't want to move to Kalamazoo or Grand Rapids. They want to stay here where their friends and their family are close. I have participated in many meetings with government officials in Berry County discussing the need for more quality housing options in our communities. At a strategy session a few weeks ago hosted by the Chamber and Berry Community Foundation, I don't think there was a participant in the room that did not describe housing as one of the top perceived needs in their communities. Just last evening at a council meeting, there was an inquiry during public comment about what was being done to bring affordable housing to our community. The city's master plan highlights housing as one of the greatest focuses of the next 5 years. I know that Berry County has started your county master plan, and it's no great leap to presume that housing will rise to the top as a need in that plan as well. The city of Hastings has worked very hard to improve housing options locally. We have approved payment in lieu of taxes agreements and supported incentives for housing developers. The Planning Commission and Council have worked together to modify the zoning ordinance to create more opportunities for missing middle housing. We have made property available for sale to developers who have a vision for housing that is similar to our own. We were elated when we learned that the 73-unit Royal Coach Low-Income Housing Tax Credit project had been approved for Hastings, and were equally shocked and disappointed by MSHDA's sudden reversal of their decision. We are, however, grateful that the opportunity for affordable housing development is still available to us, although there are very limited locations for a site with as many housing units as General Capital has been approved for, especially sites that are close to downtown with walkable amenities and nearby job opportunities. Later in this meeting, you will have the opportunity to hear about General Capital's proposal and learn how the county can be a part of bringing this much-needed housing to your taxpayers. I would like to encourage you to consider the needs of the county and how critical housing is for us all as you consider their request. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Eldon Schellenberger Hastings. I'd like to bring to this Board of Commissioners something that I seen the other day that I was thought was totally disgusting. I seen a Berry County Road Commissioner employee, him and his wife, together in a Berry County truck, one of those red ones. I'd like to know when the taxpayers start paying for Berry County Road employees' advantage of using the vehicle for their own personal gain and their own personal use. Boy, I guess I better go hire out to the road commission. Maybe I can get to use one of their trucks for free. I mean, this isn't right that, unless you're in a big responsibility as a supervisor or something, but you still shouldn't be able to use a Berry County road truck for your own personal use. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Morning, Gary White, Nashville. I looked up the minutes on the health board, and the one thing that really concerned me right off the bat when I read it was the Health Resources Advocates Funding Opportunity. Colette shared with the board the known details regarding school liaison funding, which may require 5 to 6 additional new hires for the health department. Currently, the CDC hires the staff directly, allocating them to the BED, HD, and are restructuring it to the local level. Action will be required in the future meeting before moving forward. I guess after what took place with the health department and the school districts, do we really want to see the health department having 5 to 6 more employees in our school systems out there? I have talked with 2 different administrators that knew nothing about this, so I'm going to guess that the communication to the school districts and the parents are not getting out there. The real question for me is, for you, what is the job descriptions of these people? What, if it's coming from the Biden administration's CDC, mandates are going to be coming with these positions, and how is it going to affect the school districts, the parents, and the kids inside there? There was numerous people that left the public school system after the mandate of all the schools in this district. Do we really want to grow government and have health department getting bigger? When they got bigger with Toast, what happened? It cost people money in Berry County. It cost people where they could not sell their houses without having, without more regulations. Do we really want to grow government in Berry County? Is that what the people of Berry County want, or do they want less government and less regulations? I look forward to hearing from the people on the Health Department board of what the benefit for these 5 to 6 liaisons are, what the job descriptions, and what mandates are going to come along from the CDC. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have any correspondence to share with the board?
I do.
Vice Chair Connor.
Thank you. This is an email that I received yesterday from Cindy Twitchell. She sent it to me on Sunday. I didn't see it until yesterday. Vivian, as I told you earlier, I will not be able to be at the commissioners' meeting until my car is fixed, which could be up to 3 months, but I am watching them online. As the commissioner that represents my jurisdiction, I am requesting that you address Ben Geiger's inability to follow the rules and procedures that this board put into effect just a few weeks ago. In those rules and procedures, it stated that all comments are to be at the commissioner, excuse me, my eyes are still not right, are to be at the chairperson of the board. Ben continually chooses who he will and who he won't hold accountable to those rules and addressing Mr. Hike and procedures. At the May 17th meeting, a gentleman spoke right after Adam Heikela. This gentleman said, "Come on, man," clearly addressing Mr. Heikela, not the chair. The 14th Amendment secures this right. 14th Amendment, Section 1, last sentence, "nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws." I expect you to address this, Ben Geiger, at the May 22nd, 2022 meeting. If this board is looking at gaining the respect of their constituents, they must be willing to equally enforce their rules and procedures indiscriminately to all citizens. She says, "By writing this email, I am in no way stating that your rules and procedures policies are constitutional as they are written. I am only addressing the board's unwillingness to enforce indiscriminately the rules and procedures, yes, even the unconstitutional ones, equally to all. Respectfully, Cindy Twitchell."
Well, to any constituent that feels that I am unfair with the rules, there's an example of me being fair to everyone, because that clearly is public comment, not offered here at the microphone. But we abide by the rules here at the Board of Commissioners, and will continue to do so. Is there further correspondence? I do have two issues of correspondence. We have received by letter the determination from the Berry County Elected Officers Compensation Commission. A copy of that letter is here if anyone wishes to see it, and their determination. I've also received a confirmation request from MERS, and I will be working with Michael to fill all that out. Is there further correspondence? Hearing none, we'll move to the consent agenda. Commissioner Campbell.
Thank you. I move for the approval of approval of May 10th, 2022 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes. B, approval of May 17th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. C, approval of map change A-2-2022 to create a zoning map for the Village of Woodland. Approval of the 2022 L-4028 millage reduction fraction computation and the 2022 L-4029 tax rate request for the levy of summer property taxes, and authorize the chairperson to sign. E, approval of the grant of an easement for gas facilities across county-owned real property, Thornapple Manor, parcel ID 06-027-024-01 to Consumers Energy Company, and authorize and direct the county administrator and county clerk to execute and deliver the easement in substantially the form on file with the county administrator on behalf of the county, with such immaterial changes as are deemed necessary and in the best interest of the county, in consultation with the county legal counsel.
Second, Gibson.
Motion by Campbell, supported by Gibson, to approve the items listed under the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will call the roll.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. Presentations. We have a proposal, or a presentation day, from General Capital Group, a proposal supported by the City of Hastings and the Berry Community Foundation. After the failure of the Royal Coach site to receive the necessary state approval, they are proposing a new concept, of which would require us to sell property. So the board, today as a board, we are going to listen to their proposal. We're not going, I got one. we're not going to make any decision,
Thank you.
but we will have to make a decision within probably 30 days. So I don't know when a formal vote will happen on it, but commissioners, just be prepared to have to make a decision soon. So we have a couple of individuals from Wisconsin. We welcome you. So the floor is
Thank
yours.
you very much. Thanks, Chair Geiger. My name is Sig Struckmanis. I'm here with Josh Heffern. We're both from General Capital. And we're here to introduce a concept that we believe is a real needle in the haystack. We've been working on a project for the last 3+ years. It all started over at the Royal Coach site. And as you know, after this devastating fire, we had a new concept that had to be figured out because now there was this historic resource that burned down. We worked with our consultants, we worked with MSHDA and the city, who was super great to work with this whole time. And we came up with a new concept, and we received an award of the financing that we need to have that project go. So we actually have that in hand. And in the past several months, I will say slightly out of left field, that is our perspective, we had some questions about the proximity of our project to Hastings Manufacturing and things that were happening in that neighborhood. We felt very strong that that site was great, and we still feel that. But MSHDA basically told us that they would like us to use the credit and use that resource on another site. We right away worked with the city, and I really want to thank Dan King and Sarah Moyer-Kale, their leadership in kind of trying to find a new site and be productive with this. But we actually started to look at the site where basically half of the site is the city's and the other half is the Friend of the Court's property. And we put together a plan for a 60-unit project that would also include the Friend of the Court property and the building. We have a great idea for all of that. We'll share more details with you. You should have also received a package just with the renderings, our initial renderings, and also this cover letter, which I updated now with the following concept. Basically, we would like to purchase the property from the county on a to-be-determined amount. And the reason that it should be determined is it also depends on what the county would like to do on the interior of the building. So basically, we understand that there's a need potentially to preserve some office space needs in the future, potentially some parking that you'd like to maintain on that site, and we're willing to work with the county to accomplish all that. But at the same time, if there's a cost associated with renovating some of those offices, separating the building into a logical fashion for security purposes, et cetera, that there may be costs there, and that would all go into the equation of what ultimately we can support in terms of purchasing the property. So what we're here really today is to introduce us, introduce the concept. I'd like to introduce Josh from our office and talk a little bit about General Capital, and I'll get into a little more detail on the proposal in 1 minute.
Sure. And again, my name is Josh Heffron with General
That's
Capital.
quite an entrance, Josh.
That's my,
Really glad to talk with music in the background.
it's like a baseball game, that's my song. I'm not sure which one it was though. So thank you for letting us speak today. Again, my name is Josh Heffron with General Capital. I've been with the group 14, 15 years. We're developers, real estate developers out of Wisconsin, like you said. I actually live in Chicago, so you've got Chicago, Milwaukee, in Michigan, but don't hold that against us, please. But in any event, just about the company, we've been in business since 1996, mid-90s, started by two brothers, Michael Weiss and David Weiss. Started as a grocery-anchored shopping center developer, and then moved into commercial development. One of the group's major focus today is the development of affordable housing. We've done 35 tax credit transactions to date for our own book. And as Sig mentioned, we've been working with the city for 3+ years on the Royal Coach site. We've done, not to be perceived as total out-of-towners, we've done 8 or 9 deals in Michigan to date. We've done deals in Paw Paw, Muskegon, Niles, Michigan, Jackson, and working in other communities in the state. All of our buildings have been received very well, and I'd say that the testament to that is that once in a lot of the communities we've participated in or developed projects, we've been invited back to develop a second project, and even in Niles, Michigan, a third project. So we take great pride in our work, and we think we've SIG is, my focus at General Capital is financing, structuring, putting together the deals. SIG's focus is on architecture, entitlements, and construction. So I'm going to turn it back over to SIG to talk specifically about the plan for the site. And if you have any questions or about General Capital or about our activity in Michigan or anything we've done in the past, feel free to ask at the time. Thanks.
Thanks, I really appreciate you pulling that up, because basically I was going to speak to the site plan.
Can you hold on just for a second?
Sure.
So can we, in the audience, make sure our phones are silenced? Thank you.
Thank you. So basically, on the screen here, you see the site plan, which is the concept for how the property would lay out, an aerial view of it. So basically, what we have is, speak away from the microphone for a second, the existing front of the courts building up at Broadway and State, and also the parking lot, the existing parking lot that's right next door. And the city-owned property is on the west side, basically coming up to Park Street. And, oh, thank you. Great, thanks. The red button. No, arrow button. That's okay, we can just probably, when I'm ready, I'll need some help. And basically, one of the things that was important to the city is how the new construction relates to the street. So we wanted to make sure that that property would be right up against the street, and got it. Thank you. And also be respectful of the neighborhood in terms of the scale of the new building. So altogether, we have 60 units in the new construction building, and we anticipate using the Friends of the Court building, especially the counting space, it's kind of nice two-story space, as some of the community space for our residents and also for public use. And then we're thinking right now, and this is very dynamic, we're still in talks, we want to tour the building and look at it in more detail, but using the second floor and maintaining some office space for the county on the second floor, and maintaining a point of security so you could actually easily get up and down and use the second floor space. The other thing I should mention is that we have more parking than is required by Hastings Code, so therefore we're willing to work with the county on, right now we've identified 25 parking spaces which would be in excess for our needs, which I think is important for the county's consideration as they look to the long-term future here. There's no way that that's the pointer thing. How about the slide?
Oh, no, that's just a pointer.
There's the pointer. Okay.
If you'll let me know, I can advance the
Yeah,
slide.
Dave will advance the slide.
The last thing I'll talk about the site plan here is that we have underground parking, which is a really important amenity. A lot of times the surface parking is used for a lot of apartment properties, and here we think that it's a great amenity to have underground parking. There'll be close to one per unit, but something like 40, 50 parking spaces underground and the rest on the surface. And the last thing I'll say is that we're also going to treat the streetscape along the streets in such a way that it fits right into the neighborhood. The next slide, is that possible with this?
No.
We'll just keep going. I just want to show the two renderings at the very end, actually.
Okay.
If that's okay. Yeah, there you go. And then basically, this is a shot from that corner. We have some community spaces right now on the corner of the building, and then some direct entry 3-bedroom units that would basically almost work as townhomes along the street. And then you know that there's a lot of grade change happening at this corner, and we're going to use the building to kind of accommodate that grade change and work out all the details as we get into the detailed engineering of the building. So with that, I wanted to keep it kind of short and to the point today, but what we're really looking for is the commissioner's willingness to work with us and work out the details and bring that back to you in the form of an agreement. That would be our ultimate request. And we hope to do that, as Chair Geiger said, in the next 30 days. We only say that there's a sense of urgency because of the construction cycle for this calendar year, and also that we've been given this kind of special window of opportunity to look for a new site and to get everything buttoned up and going in the right direction. That won't last forever. You know what I mean? So basically, right now we have this amazing opportunity where all the timing is kind of aligning, where this could come together in the next several months, and we could be looking at construction as soon as this fall. So with that, I'll take any questions or whatever's appropriate, Chair Geiger.
So, before we get into questions, I just want to say on behalf of the board, thank you for being here. Commissioners, this is an interesting situation. We often talk about facilities in terms of a long-term strategic plan. With a proposal like this or an issue like this, sometimes you will have unknowns if you move forward with it. So Yeah, we will probably need future space, but we're not going to have a perfect plan in 30 days. But that's what needs to happen. We need to give them a decision in 30 days. So I guess, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thought is, I was on the committee and we had a walkthrough with Bonnie, and then here we are with the proposal, and I have no idea how it got this far. It hasn't been talked about at the board.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
just,
the first presentation.
but, I mean, to invest all this money and research into this and not even, the board not even having known anything about this.
So Vivian, if I could.
Sure.
I just would like to say that the reason that it kind of went a little faster than maybe you thought it would is that this is a very unique and different situation this has never happened before in the state of Michigan, where MSHDA has actually taken a tax credit award and moved it from one property to another to allow for the tax credits to remain in effect for the community. Usually what they do is make you reapply with the new site. And in this instance, because of letters, for instance, from the county commissioners, when you were in support of them rethinking how their decision on removing the ability for them to build on Royal Coach, you had sent a letter that said, I would hope that you would reconsider your decision and allow the property to move forward.
Right, on the Royal Coach site.
On the Royal Coach site, correct. And when they came back and said, there's no way we can, we have put a lot of stuff in writing, and this could potentially come back and be a liability on the state of Michigan. There was a lot of information that went forward. And so we began, and this is the only site in the city of Hastings that has the walkability and the capacity to be able to build something of the magnitude of a 60-unit apartment complex that is for low-income people. So the difference between this and one that has any kind of subsidies is that this is actually based on the amount of money that you earn. This is for working people. This is for people that have jobs that can't afford a $1,200 a month apartment. So the need for this is astronomical.
Oh, that's not what I was questioning.
So the question, if I can just move
Okay.
forward, thank you. And so what this actually, the reason it went forward so quickly was because with this building and the fact that you guys had vacated, it was almost serendipitous that all of those things happened all at the same time. This isn't saying this is absolutely has to happen to have this building. I think they probably can move forward without your building, but this becomes an opportunity for the county to be able to still maintain what your desire was, which was to potentially have office space, the parking space, and create a beautiful entry into our downtown with these types of opportunities for our folks that are really struggling to make ends meet today. So the reason it came to you, this is just a first time. Mm-hmm. This isn't, you take a vote today, this isn't, you have to move forward. This was just so that you would have something to talk about, 100%.
That's why I put it on the
So it's
BOC agenda.
just for you to talk about. That's all. It wasn't intended to say, we think you guys are just going to move forward in status quo and all of those things. This is your property. We appreciate that, and we appreciate the time in the agenda just to look at this as an option.
Commissioner Jackson?
What is the time frame on the MSHDA grant?
Do you want to address that, Josh? Yeah, as Bonnie said, we're in uncharted waters right now, and MSHDA is, I'm not trying to hem and haw and get away from your question, but there really hasn't been a time frame presented. But what we are facing is every year there's new credit cycles with MSHDA, and at some point, if there's not progress, MSHDA could say, hey, there's somewhere else in Michigan that could use these credits to develop an affordable building, and say, look, you guys are taking too long, move somewhere else. So Mishta, our company, General Capital, has a strong relationship with Mishta. The community presented a very emphatic call for affordable housing in the area with the letters, et cetera, to try to build at Royal Coach. So I feel, and I know this isn't the sentiment in the room, but we feel like Mishta is doing us a tremendous favor in allowing us to move the credits, and we're just trying to work with Mishta as best we can and move expeditiously with the project. And again, it's not to say that there's any pressure or any decision-making has to be made, within the next week, within the next 2 weeks, but let's start the process today and move as expeditious as we can, because as developers and as real estate people, time kills deals, and we just want to move with not jam anything down anyone's throats, but at the same time move expeditiously to a resolution or a yay or nay on this.
Does Mishta need to approve this site also?
They do.
Okay. Has that been addressed? Have they been?
Well, this is, Mishta, when it's talking to Mishta, they said to me, when you guys are at a point where you think you have a site under control and ready to move forward, come back to us and we'll review the environmental, the same as they did with the Hastings, the Royal Coach site, and the marketability of the site. So it hasn't been, but we're about at the point where we're gonna, formally call Mishta and say, hey, this is the site, will you evaluate it on a market basis, and we evaluate it on an environmental basis.
Okay, and these are not market rate units?
They're not market rate units. The program, if you want me to go into what the program is in more detail, I can, but it's actually a Section 42 deal, which is the tax credits people have been referring to.
Okay.
And the tax credits are the federal government has a program under the tax code to build affordable housing using tax credits. And each state gets an allocation of tax credits to distribute through a competition. And then those credits are then sold to investors, and the investors are groups like US Bank, JP Morgan, large corporate banks or insurance companies who buy the credits. And then we use that equity to build the building along with debt. And then in exchange for the credits, what we do, or what the project will do, is limit the rents to rents affordable to people based on the income they make. So it's not 80%. Yeah, so in questions to, is it market rate? No, but there will be units in the project for people making up to 80% of the area median income.
Okay, so these won't be $2,500 units, but they could be based on, if a doctor wanted to rent a unit in there?
No,
No?
we're
Okay.
limited to people at 80% or below.
Okay.
But if the area median income of Berry County ever got so high, theoretically.
Or if you had a cheap doctor.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not closed-minded about it, working on the Economic Development Committee also in the county. I know there's a very big need for housing, affordable housing in the market, so that is one of the primary things on our driver list, is opportunities for affordable housing. That's why the Mishta question is important, because to ask county government to spin or pivot or do something in 30 days is a big ask, because we're talking about taxpayer dollars, taxpayer buildings, things like that. That's, and as Vivian pointed out, that it wasn't on my radar. So, housing, yes, this particular project, no. So hopefully, because of Mishta's approval and then denial, they're going to give us a little leeway to work through this process and be sure, because we also have a responsibility with the taxpayers to do the right thing with county-owned property.
Yeah.
So,
No, I appreciate that comment as well. And I didn't mean to suggest that Mishta's putting a gun to anyone's head with timing. Certainly, they're, working with us.
No, the 30 days is that was my number. They haven't proposed anything. It was just my goal to have something done in 30 days.
I certainly think we're capable of reviewing and looking at information. I just, putting that short of a timeline on something for county government to make a decision on is a little concerning. I can't say that we can't come back with something and go, wow, very well done, thought out, presented, and, put it through the uprights, but I also don't want to be overly optimistic and say that 30 days is going to be the timeline. We will do everything we can to review and make this work. We hadn't discussed at this point the plans of the front of the court building, but I like the fact that that's in there, that there are some flexibility with how to make that work. So I think were there any other sites on your radar in the city, or is this it?
This is it right now.
Okay.
We've been looking.
Okay.
Yeah. And no, we appreciate and understand the county decision-making timeline and the time and the effort and the thought you guys put into decisions. And from our side, if there's any questions, any pieces of information or anything you need to know about us or to know about the project, to know about the program, please don't hesitate to ask. We're willing to do whatever it takes to get you guys educated up to speed as quickly as you need to on any aspect of the deal, and willing to work with you in that regard.
Because although it doesn't seem like it, when you say fall construction, that's quick.
Well, quick is relative, and I understand where you guys are coming from. Where we're coming from is and it's not your fault, it's not our fault, but we've been working on Royal Coach for 3 years. So it's all relative in my mind.
To you, it's not a fast process at all then, so this is very slow. So, no, appreciate you guys coming over. I just spent a little time in Port Washington, Wisconsin this weekend, so nice little area up there. So I'm open-minded about the project, not closed-minded about moving forward with it. The time frame is a little bit concerning at this point, but I think that with a good plan and a good presentation, we can work with this. And I appreciate the fact that you guys have stuck with this for 3 years and done it, because I know it was a huge disappointment for a lot of people in the county with the failure of the Royal Coach project. So, so we appreciate you guys continuing to work with us on this, and hopefully we can find something equitable that works for everybody in this.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smelker.
Yes, when I'm looking at this, I see all the parking goes in and out onto the main road there. Is there been a study or anything? Is there going to be a problem of putting maybe 120 cars out on 43 at that intersection? MDOT going to say
We
anything?
actually, in my initial response, we did that purposefully to keep traffic away from the residential neighborhood, basically.
I know that, but that's a
So-
very busy corner.
It is.
Yeah, understood. And we're willing to look at that, and I think that as we get into this, there may be traffic analysis that needs to be done, so I appreciate the comment, but it was done with an intent of actually keeping more traffic on the busy street, ironically.
And I agree with David. Run a little more closed-minded than David, but I am open to listen. So, thank you.
Appreciate that.
That's pretty good for him. Now, again, these are two different worlds that are meeting here today. Economic development, building, structures like this, and county government, which, as Dave always says, fast-moving government is dangerous government. So,
One more.
yeah.
Does the historic part of this building have anything to do with it?
Not directly, but at the same time, we like that historic building as part of the character of the development. Originally, at Royal Coach, we did have an historic building that was part of it, so we kind of wanted to keep that as part of this. We got points in our application for that. Michigan wasn't requiring us to look for an historic building, but we actually think that it adds character, and we're looking forward to kind of weaving it in.
Our jail's kind of historic. How about that one?
We'll take a look.
I don't think it's walkable. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Really, that's all.
All right.
On purpose. Thank you, Josh.
Commissioner Getty.
I think at the city, certainly at the county, and Sarah mentioned it with our master planning, we hear about affordable housing. And this is an opportunity, I think a rare opportunity, when the county could actually have an influence and contribute to the affordable housing issue that our residents are facing. So I think it's a creative solution. I like, getting more detail. I'm certainly not in favor of, putting this on, an agenda tomorrow, because I think some questions have to be answered. But I like the fact that potential future office space for the county is included, a community space for people to meet in because we hear that that's in short supply, and parking, maintaining some public parking or Berry County parking on the site. But it's, placemaking, you get 5 stars. I mean, this is right in our core downtown district. You're using brick and mortar, not cheap materials. This is not going to look like low-income housing. It's going to be, an amenity to our downtown district and like Bonnie referenced, right at our front door.
If I could, I appreciate those comments and your openness to the idea. And I'll just make this offer to any and all, to you or anyone else, is to take a look at our other properties in Michigan, which have other good place-making attributes, and to see what we've done in other communities in similar locations located in downtowns.
And those were included in here.
There's some of our portfolios in the back of the
Yep.
package. But
So-
we're willing to come and host a tour or anything. We've done that in other communities and show you around, maybe even introduce you to any of the municipal leaders, things like that. Because I think that we're pretty serious about, our reputation, so.
Yep, that's important. Thank you.
Commissioner Campbell, do you have anything?
Without trying to be repetitive, I do agree with John. Sorry, John. I think caution is the big word here. We all know we're in desperate need for housing here in the county. But we do have a property that we own right now. We're already looking into other things for county issues going on that requires property and things like that too. So I wish the state would have been as cooperative with approving the Royal Coach area as they are with extending the credits. I think we wouldn't be in this situation right now had all that work you put into it, leading up to it, thinking this was going to be a good thing and a go thing, and then it got shot down, so that was terrible. But I'm definitely open-minded to it. We do need the housing. I just don't want to be put in a position of buying my car now or we're going to sell it to somebody else. So, the state's going to take it away from us. So I don't like that kind of pressure, and I don't think we should buckle to that kind of pressure. We have to follow, like we always will, take our time and figure it out and make sure we make the best decision possible.
Well, just in support of General Capital, like they said, they've been here for 3+ years, but they haven't mentioned this, but I know that they've put in well in excess of $450,000 just to prep, to be ready to turn the dirt on Royal Coach. They are here for the duration. They're not going to lose that $450,000. So whether or not they do it in cooperation with you or without you is, I mean, I think it can go forward either way, but the preferred way is to go in cooperation with the county and with this beautiful building and preserving it and giving you an opportunity to do some pretty cool upgrades inside that building as well, that maybe you wouldn't have the money to do.
Thank you. Commissioner Gibson, do you have anything?
I think it's a good concept for that property. That property's been empty quite a while, and it would be good to see something on that property.
Great. Well, this is my intention, Commissioners. We do need to consider this proposal quicker than we normally would, just because that's how the process works. The Royal Coach property and the whole concept is really riding on the county's decision, so we need to give it the care and attention that it deserves. Will it be 30 days? I would hope so, but maybe a little longer. So what we need to start doing is, if you have questions like Commissioner Smelker had, where's the traffic going to exit? Let's start to compile those questions. Send them to Michael as you think of them, and then we'll start talking about them next week, and then we'll try to get answers
We don't have a meeting next week.
at the next meeting. Any other discussion? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Public hearings, we have none. Items for consideration.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of claims in the amount of $192,070.21.
Support, Jackson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Jackson, for the approval of claims in the amount of $192,070.21. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Getty. Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move for the adoption of Resolution 22-10, resolution to initiate lake level project for Pleasant Lake and Mud Lake.
Second, Gibson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Gibson, for the adoption of Resolution 2210, a resolution to initiate lake level project for Pleasant Lake and Mud Lake. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the resolution is adopted. We have no unfinished business, we have no new business. County Administrator's report.
I'm all set, thank you.
I'm all set with Chairperson's report. Vice Chairperson's report.
Yes, I attended the Gun Lake Improvement Board last week. It's not a business or contract year for us, so we did approve a treatment that I didn't notice that it was yesterday, so it should be today so that we can get any waiting periods over so people can enjoy the lake this weekend. I also attended a Carrawell Services public hearing yesterday afternoon. They will be bringing a presentation of same public hearing next month at the Commission on Aging to approve their multi-year plan. And I attended the Planning Commission last night. We had 2 properties down in Johnstown Township, a food truck and a salvage yard. Both of those were approved. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner reports, we'll start with Commissioner Getty.
I have nothing.
Commissioner Smelker.
I went to Transit Board meeting. I'm going to let Hoot, he's the chair, he'll report on that. Also went to the 911 Board meeting. We set our millage for the 2023 year, and the April incidents were 4,342 dispatched, which makes a total of 16,381 incidents so far this year. That's all I got.
Commissioner Gibson.
At the Transit Board meeting, we talked about graphics for 2 new transit buses. We also talked about the possibility of the transit running on weekends.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Jackson.
Had the economic development meeting, and oddly enough, one of the things we talked about was housing. The fact that, at least at that point, I think they had mentioned there were less than 40 listings. I think the number was 37 listings in the entire county for available housing. And having a son who's 29 looking to buy a house, he has bid up to $30,000 over list price and lost every one. I think 7 or 8 listings in the last month, 45 days. So I can tell you the housing issue is real. So it is an interesting dilemma right now. So we have another governance board meeting tomorrow. We had the Solid Waste Oversight Committee meeting, and one of the topics of discussion there was renewing the contract for Rachel France, who has been doing a very good job. It's not quite double what she's been making, but they have a pretty aggressive list moving from relationship-based in the recycling market to project-based. So I supported that based on giving this the 12 months to see what kind of results they can actually put together. So, because as we know, it's been an interesting relationship with the board and recycling because there's no money in it at this point. But let's hope we can turn the corner with this and see some real progress. So,
Thank you. Commissioner Campbell.
Thank you. I attended the Johnstown Township meeting. Blight in that area still continues to be an ongoing problem. New Fire Chief Chris Joswick receiving many compliments for the job he's doing. Everybody's very happy with Chris. I also attended the Barry Eaton Health Department meeting. Went over staffing updates, were presented with many vacancies, still ongoing with vacancies. We did have a request for a position of operations director, and that was approved. hopefully to help out with the pressure being caused over there by all the vacancies and stuff at very high positions, actually. I was at the Public Works meeting early this morning. I enjoyed it much more this month because I did not have to sit in for the chairperson. Thank you, Vivian. And also I'll attend Thornapple Manor and Department of Human Services meeting tomorrow.
Thank you. All right, limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Jim Dell, Berry County Drain Commission. Jim Dell, past county commissioner. Jim Dell, Berry County resident. I'll be frank with you. I would be appalled if the county considered giving that county property over there, front of the court, for development. This county is going to box itself in. John's a farmer. He knows what property is all about. You can't get anymore. You have a building that you've paid a lot of money to renovate. You have a parking lot over there that, yes, you got to cross the street for county employees. You've made this county, this parking lot in front, abysmal to get in and out of, and then you restricted the county employees from using it. Now they're shoved over there with front of the court. If you give that up, you've screwed this county. I said as a commissioner when we did the master facilities plan, and we recognized at the time, we don't have enough property near this courthouse. 20, 30 years from now, these poor commissioners are going to say, why would they consider doing that? Now we got to move everything because we don't have enough room for expansion. 30 years ago, they did the courts and law building because we know we're going to expand. Michael's had to add 2 more people in his office. We'll end up with more people. The storage here is ridiculous. You and Michael will attest, there's no more room in here even for storage. Everything that was in the attic has been had to brought down because that ain't made for it. You guys are going to end up without, you guys will not. I will agree. You guys will skate, and I don't mean to make that mean, but in the future, you cannot get that property back. It'll be gone. You'll have no use of it. Please don't do that to the future county commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Hi there. I'm Shelley Lake, and in the beginning of the meeting, there was something said that just confuses me, and I know I'm not looking for an answer, but I've never submitted a FOIA anywhere, but I was a little confused on why a FOIA submitted to someone would directly go to an attorney, especially considering the cost of an attorney. So me, citizen, if I was to submit a FOIA, is that something I need to be concerned about, that depending where I send it or what it's for, it's going to go to an attorney and I'm going to get a $1,300 bill and a denial from what I understood. So I just wanted to kind of say that because I don't truly understand the process if I am hearing they can just go to attorneys. So I'm going to do a little reading up on it in case I ever feel the urge to do a FOIA. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
David Hatfield, resident of the city of Hastings and also chair of the Hastings Planning Commission, although I'm not here in that capacity. But I can attest to the fact that the need for housing is extraordinarily real. You cannot go to a meeting of the Chamber of Commerce, of the Economic Development Alliance, of the Berry Community Foundation, of our Employers Coalition, without hearing how drastic a problem housing is. You are presented with a unique opportunity. Yes, there are issues with it, but I encourage you to be open-minded in trying to look for a win-win solution. And you are certainly not the only governmental unit that has a challenge ahead of it with this project. The city does too, both the council and the planning commission. But we have been working with General Capital. We have a great deal of respect for them. We will do everything that we can possibly do to resolve our issues as quickly as possible, and I hope that you'll work with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
And once again, Gary White. Here, I don't know if it was last week, week before, came in and said, lack of planning for what the front of the court. You've had that building going to be vacated by the front of the court for quite some time, for months and months, correct? And then you did not do anything for planning, so you have any idea what you're going to do with it. So when I came in here and said you need to sell, lease, or rent, you weren't ready for it. Then all of a sudden, an opportunity to sell it comes up. You're not ready for it. Government is slow. Government costs, because they're so slow, cost taxpayer dollars. You look at the jail, because the commissioners in the past have not been willing to make a decision on the jail. Now it's going to cost 3, 4, 5 times the amount. I did ask Vivian about getting a tour of the annex next door, the garage over on Jefferson, and let's add to the building over there. It concerns me you don't have the ability to upgrade your facilities as needed, then you have an opportunity. Maybe you could ask the consultants here, the developers here, to look at the annex. Is there possibilities there for the annex to put those offices in? You know, parking, they're offering you parking. How much government is Berry County going to grow? As I said earlier today, I'm not a big fan of government growing and growing and growing. Are there needs out there? Yes. But do we have too many, I don't know, programs that you can't afford, you can't upkeep the buildings for? So lack of planning on government is why government is so slow. Too many people trying to make a decision on what? I bought properties with 10 days notice. I've sold properties, and they're giving you quite a bit of time, but then you got to make use of this time. But because you have no real good plan, facilities plan, I'm thinking that's where your problem is. You're not planning for the future, and then slow government costs the taxpayers dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Jim Brown again. Parking is always a terrible situation in a downtown area, whether it's Grand Rapids, Minneapolis, or Hastings, Michigan. When the county purchased all the property across the street, and I'm going to go back 50 years or so, when the church was across there, there was a boarding house on the corner, and there was an ice cream stand right there on where the parking lot is. That's all gone. Very good. And if we start thinking about parking, you should start thinking about it going up instead of out. You could literally triple the amount of parking that the government needs right here by walking across the street. The problem with the property across the street on Broadway, you might as well have the Mississippi River running through there, because I defy you, if you're in a wheelchair or even walking or on a cane, to cross Broadway over there almost any time of the day. So I would say take advantage of the situation that we have right now. And back to a timing standpoint, I know that things take time with government, but Michael Calton and I sat down over coffee and in a half an hour decided what would be best for the county and for the city of Hastings to do this swap on the old library and that vacant property across the street. Yes, it takes time to get the job done right, but I tell you what, it doesn't take forever if you get serious about it and do it. So I would highly suggest that we get busy on this project.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Good morning, Commissioner. My name is Mike Snyder. I live in the city of Hastings. I am on the board of directors for the COA, and passed in the city. I work for the city on a couple over there. As a taxpayer, I expect you to, take advantage of this possibility, and to me, it's a good marriage. My biggest concern is preserving that building as it sits now. and I think that they have come up with a good plan to do that. I think 30 days is more than enough time for your commissioners to be able to sit down and discuss and come up with some kind of an answer, a tentative answer of what you want to do. I think it's a good chance for the city and the county can work together on a project to get housing in our area. So as a taxpayer, I hope you all will look at all the opportunities to improve the affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment? Okay.
Mark Doster, excuse me. A comment that Vivian made regarding you not having a board meeting next week. I just thought, well, maybe this is a project that might actually deserve a board meeting, that you come together and think this thing out. I certainly agree with the concept of protecting the front of the court building as a historical building, if that can be reused. I know parking is a problem here, but it seems like it's something with such a tight time frame that it would deserve an extra meeting just to look into it to see whether it's viable. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Hello, Chuck Hertzler, City of Hastings. How are y'all doing today? Parking is an issue in this town, as we all know it. And I raised my concerns with the city council about allowing businesses to put up igloos and take up parking places. In the summertime, they have outside little eating areas and stuff, just like we just went across the street here at the Seasonal Grill, about taking up parking places now so they can have their little outside. I'm all for supporting businesses if that helps increase their business stuff. But if people can't get there to eat, what difference does it make? Okay? And the city council did tell me one time, well, they can park out the school and have the transit buses bring them in and stuff. That doesn't make sense. We need better parking. And if you're going to sell the building and do with the parking like Jim Dole says, then maybe Mr. Brown's right. Maybe we put up an elevator or a tall parking structure or something so more people can park. But parking is a big issue, just like you're going to bring more people living in this town. We can't park now. So it's kind of hand-in-hand thing that we have to look at here. Is it okay for the city to give up parking places? They can make that decision. They do it. Now they just added bunkers. Bunkers now going to be taking up parking spaces out there. Where's it going to end? Thank you.
Is there further public comment?
Adam Heikla, local business owner. I always come and talk about the same thing pretty much. Politics and governance and being representatives and not politicians, and how we as a community can come together, and you all can be an extension of the community to make decisions as representatives and not politicians. Politicians, as I said, make decisions because of outside forces. I'm not sure how many people really understand what we kind of witnessed here right now today in this meeting, but we watched some of those outside forces at work. It was really an interesting thing. I was excited over there to see, because now we have it on video, right? What I've been talking about, how some of the biggest politicians in our community, people that use forces, influence that they have to manipulate and do things, right, to boards like yourselves, because that's what we heard. We had a director of a local powerful nonprofit foundation, which are one of the biggest ones that are connected to these worldwide outside groups connected into our local communities that are affecting us. I've already talked about it. I can show all the facts and evidence. This is real. This is a real thing. And they gave you an ultimatum even. I mean, they just said, this is what's going to happen. They're fighting